You knew something was wrong. You felt it for months, maybe years. Your friends saw it. Your family saw it. Deep down you saw it too. But you stayed. And if someone asked you why, you probably couldn't fully explain it. Because the answer didn't make logical sense. You stayed even when it hurt. Even when you cried more than you smiled. Even when leaving seemed like the obvious choice. Here's the truth: staying in a bad relationship has almost nothing to do with logic. It has everything to do with how your brain works, and the invisible psychological forces that keep you attached even when attachment is destroying you. Today we're breaking down 4 of the most powerful reasons psychology explains why people stay, and why it's never as simple as just leave. The first reason is called trauma bonding. Trauma bonding is one of the most misunderstood psychological phenomena in relationships. It was first identified by psychiatrist Patrick Carnes, who noticed that people in abusive or toxic relationships often develop an intense emotional attachment, not in spite of the pain but because of it. Here's how it works. In a toxic relationship there are cycles. A period of tension builds. Then an explosive or painful event happens. Then, and this is the critical part, a period of warmth, affection, and reconciliation follows. The abuser apologizes. Things feel good again. They feel great even because the contrast between pain and relief is enormous. Your brain, specifically the reward system, responds to this pattern exactly the way it responds to addiction. The intermittent reinforcement of good moments after bad ones creates a neurological bond that is genuinely difficult to break. The unpredictability doesn't repel you. It hooks you. This is why trauma bonding victims often describe their toxic partner as the only one who truly understands them. The relationship hasn't just created pain, it's created one of the strongest emotional attachments the brain can form. The second reason is the sunk cost fallacy. The sunk cost fallacy is a cognitive bias that affects every area of human decision-making, but nowhere more powerfully than in relationships. The idea is simple: the more you've invested in something, time, energy, emotions, sacrifices, the harder it becomes to walk away. Not because the investment is paying off, but because leaving means admitting that all of that was wasted. 3 years, 5 years, a decade, children, a shared apartment, mutual friends, dreams you built together. Your brain frames all of this as a cost that leaving would make worthless. So you stay, not because the relationship is good but because you've already paid so much to be in it. Economists call this irrational. Psychologists call it deeply human. The truth that's hard to accept: the time and love you've already given cannot be recovered by staying. The only question that matters is this relationship worth what you'll invest from this day forward? The third reason is fear, and it's more complex than it looks. When people think about fear in relationships, they think about fear of the partner. And sometimes that's real. But the fears that keep most people in bad relationships are more subtle and more universal. Fear of being alone. The idea of going home to an empty apartment. Of not having someone to call. Of starting over at 30 or 40 or 50. Fear of the unknown. The relationship, however painful, is familiar. You know its rhythms. Leaving means entering territory you can't predict. And the human brain is wired to treat unpredictability as danger. Fear of failure. In many cultures, a relationship ending is still seen as something to be ashamed of. The fear of being judged by family, by friends, by yourself, can outweigh the pain of staying. And fear of who you are outside of this relationship. When someone has been in a relationship long enough, their identity becomes entangled with it. Leaving doesn't just mean losing a partner. It means losing a version of yourself. These fears aren't irrational. They're deeply human. But they're also not accurate predictions of what leaving would actually feel like. The fourth reason is low self-worth, and it quietly drives everything else. Psychologist Nathaniel Branden spent decades studying self-esteem in relationships. His conclusion was stark. People tend to select partners who match how they feel about themselves. And they tend to stay in relationships that confirm what they believe they deserve. If you were told growing up, explicitly or implicitly, that you weren't enough, that love was conditional, that you had to earn affection, then a relationship where love is painful and uncertain doesn't feel wrong to you. Feels familiar. Feels like home. This is why healing isn't just about leaving. People with low self-worth often leave one bad relationship and walk directly into another, because the pattern isn't in their partner. It's in how they see themselves. The most painful version of this truth: sometimes people stay in bad relationships because they genuinely don't believe they deserve better. Not because they've been told this consciously, but because years of experience have quietly written it into how they see the world. So what does all of this mean? It means that staying in a bad relationship is not stupidity. It's not weakness. It's not failure. It's your brain doing what brains do, forming attachments, avoiding loss, seeking familiarity, confirming existing beliefs. Understanding why you stay is not an excuse to keep staying, but it is the beginning of real change. Because you cannot heal what you don't understand. If any part of this video described your situation, please know that what you're experiencing is real. What you feel is valid. And you are not broken. You are human. But you also deserve more than familiar pain. And somewhere, beneath all the fear and attachment and sunk cost, you already know that. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And subscribe for a new psychology mind map every week.